Wow, hello, guys. Hopefully everything's going well. Yeah, it seems like it's going fine. Okay, so this is the stream that I said that I was going to be having. I don't know how long the stream is necessarily going to be. It's probably going to be max 2 hours. But what I wanted to talk here about is some of the big stuff that's happening that I couldn't get through at all within a single video. Mostly due to the fact that the things that are going on is so numerous that it hasn't been able to cross my radar. I have so many things. There's still things that I'm still wanting to cover, but I'm not going to cover because I think they're a bit on the low brow, and I can kind of get to them at some other point in time. Because, especially like the mayor situation here, where Tiffany Hayward, where she was specifically, you could say, doing all these sorts of crimes and stuff like that. There's such a list of what she's doing that I would almost have to make a stream in of itself to cover some of that. So I may or may not do a stream to cover that in particular, but nonetheless, this is something that I would be going over and probably go and talking into videos if I so granted. But probably be doing Tuesdays or Thursdays with that type of content. I was going to do Thursday, but I didn't get around to doing Thursday. So we will be doing this. So without further ado, I will be doing this as well. I will be talking about all the stuff that's been happening. Now, I will try to cut this stuff into like 10-minute sessions or whatever, but the problem is I have to do, whenever each time I do a session, I gotta take time into recording all of that. It's really hard to just kind of take this segment and be like, oh, I'm gonna do this one. It's kind of difficult. So, with that being said, I'm gonna try to lay out my video and my streams of exactly how I'm going to do this and all that stuff. So, yeah. So, as of right now, we have this here. We have a full list of Democrats, GOP, who voted against the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act. Now, this is something that's going on right now where the GOP has, GOP and the Democrats, this is not just, just one-side show, it's both of them, and it says a total of 70 Democrats and 21 Republicans voted against the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act on Wednesday, signaling opposition to the bipartisan bill. While the bill was passed by 320 votes to 91, some opponents in the House expressed concerns that it would hamper free speech and lead to censorship issues. The bill is aimed at combating anti-Semitism on college campuses. The context comes amid a number of pro-Palestinian protests on college campuses in response to Israel's war with Hamas. This has led to concerns about rising cases of anti-Semitism. My God, I can't even speak. Israel has killed more than 34,000 Palestinians in the Gaza Strip, according to the Associated Press, citing the Hamas-run health ministry. The war started after the Hamas attack on southern Israel on October 7th, when about 1,200 people were killed and 250 hostages taken. Now, people are going to go like, what do you think about Israel? What is your stance on this? I'm going to be perfectly honest here. That I don't really care much about the conflict of Israel or Palestine. I could really care less. What I want here is, and what I make address is, if somebody attacks you like Palestine did on October 7th, I think you have the right and the ability to defend yourself when you are attacked. Same thing if Palestine got attacked by Israel on October 7th, and they did whatever Palestine did. They deserve the right to defend themselves, Palestine, in that instance. But that's not what happened. Palestine attacked first, and now Israel is just protecting itself in retaliation. Imagine if somebody attacked you, and then you can't have the right to defend yourself because some lunatics say no. But, again, I don't care much about the conflict. The only thing I care for is that I don't want my country engaging in the said conflict. That's my stance. That's where I see it here. So if you people have a problem with that, then that's a problem. So the Republicans that voted on this are Andy Biggs, Lauren Boebert, Josh Breachin, Leg Burson, Michael Cloud, Andrew Clyde, Mike Collins, Elijah Klein, Warren Davison, Byron Donald, Matt Gaetz, Paul Gosar, Major Taylor Greene, Eric Hagman, Clay Higgins, Wesley Hunt, Anna Paulina Luna, Thomas Massey, Rolf Norman, Matthew Rosendale, and Chip Roy. Now, you might have noticed some of the people that what is it? Newsweek has compiled a list of all the members of Congress who voted against the legislation, and I think these are the actual people here who went against it, I may believe. I'm pretty sure that they are saying we don't want this type of bill coming through, but it's still being up debate. But what we have here is a House advances bill to codify contentious and popular anti-Semitism definition of a bill that would enshrine a popular and contentious definition of anti-Semitism. I can't even pronounce that word. I don't know why. Passed the U.S. House of Representatives by a wide margin on Wednesday. The Anti-Semitism Awareness Act mandates government civil rights offices to adopt the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance definition of anti-Semitism, which has been endorsed by hundreds of local governments. But the definition has also drawn criticism. Most of its examples of anti-Semitism involve criticism of the state of Israel, including calling it a racist endeavor. Now, we already have something where you cannot be racist towards people, right? However, my issue is that you're pretty much just saying that, like, you can't say this word. And that's my big problem here. I don't really condone racism. I don't condone anti-Semitism and stuff like that. However, when it comes to stuff like this, when you're saying, like, oh, you can't say this, otherwise you'll be arrested, that's my problem here. You're saying that, like, they can't say these things because, well, you're going to be arrested. That's insanity to me. That's a complete violation of the First Amendment of freedom of speech. Now, I'm not saying that, like, I'm not saying, like, oh, well, you know what? These people should be allowed to trash colleges and whatever. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is they're allowed to speak racism. They're allowed to speak these things because that's what freedom of speech does. It's when you start acting upon those, that type of stuff. Like, I'm going to go attack this black person here because of his color or whatever, and you actually go and commit that act. Well, then that's a problem. You can't just go and commit threats to people and then commit the act. That would be a force of using the racism towards that person and committing that act. However, it's different when you are just saying something and you're not doing anything. That's just the reality of everything. And what we have here is from Matt Walsh. Now, I know Daily Wire is under this feud with Candace Owens and stuff like that, and the only reason why I haven't really covered it is just because I just don't like drama, and I don't want to get into it. So, that being said, I'm not going to go talk about the whole Daily Wire BS, because that's just stupid. It's just drama, it's BS, I don't care for it. However, we have this from Matt Walsh, saying, the vast majority of Republicans just voted for a bill to criminalize criticism of the Israeli government. If the bill passes, you will be guilty of hate speech if you apply double standards to the government of Israel or accuse it of genocide. This is honestly one of the most insane pieces of legislation I've ever seen. And I quote, here's some of the ones that are saying it. Denying the Jewish people their right to self-determination, e.g. by claiming that the existence of a state of Israel is a racist endeavor, applying double standards by requiring of it a behavior not expected or demanded of any other democratic nation, using the symbols and images associated with classic anti-Semitism, claims of Jews killing Jesus or blood libel to characterize Israel or Israelis, drawing comparisons of contemporary Israeli policy to that of the Nazis. That's insanity to me. That's complete insanity, because this is pretty much saying, like, oh, you can't say Jews were, like, put in an oven, or you can't say, oh, Jews were do some type of jokes with Jews or whatever. They're pretty much saying anything related to being, like, any sort of hate or making Jews uncomfortable is considered a problem under this new legislation. That's insanity, guys. We can't be doing this type of stuff. Listen, I'm as crazy and insane as most people could probably see, right? Like, I'll say some of the most outlandish things sometimes, but that's because it's my freedom of speech to do so. And I joke about Jews all the bloody time. It is something that is lighthearted. It is just a joke. And it's saying that you can't joke about this stuff, or what have you, or using symbols, or making memes, is a problem. That's insanity to me. That should not be a thing. We have this here, again, from Vivek Ramaswamy. It says that this bill effectively criminalizes the simple act of reading the Bible, all under the guise of combating anti-Semitism. It's an outrageous assault on our freedom, and it must be fiercely resisted. And what is circling here is using the symbols and images associated with classic anti-Semitism, e.g. claims of Jews killing Jesus or blood libel to characterize Israel or Israelis. And that's what he's has here. It says, According to the gospel accounts, Jewish authorities in Roman Judea charged Jesus with blasphemy and sought his execution and lacked the authority to have Jesus put to death. So they brought Jesus to Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor of the province, who authorized Jesus' execution on John 19:16. Now, I'm not a huge person on the Bible, right? So I don't know. I don't really correlate with a lot of the stuff. But, however, that is true on what this first one says. If you're saying that using the symbols and images associated with classic anti-Semitism and claims of Jews killing Jesus or blood libel to characterize Israel or Israelis, and then it says here, obviously, according to the gospel accounts, Jewish authorities in Roman Judea charged Jesus with blasphemy and sought his execution. If it's saying that in the Bible, you're automatically just saying that you cannot read the Bible. That's a huge problem. This is a problem that I have with the GOP and the Democrats in general. It's like, they're normally at each other's throats, right, when it comes to stuff like this. But when it comes down to, attacking free speech, all of them are on board with this. And that's insanity to me. We cannot be having this type of stuff going on. And then we have this from Charlie Kirk saying, it is patently insane for House Republicans to insert themselves into the mayhem engulfing college campuses. Do not interrupt your enemies when they're making a mistake. Instead of passing anti-free speech laws that trample on the First Amendment or inserting themselves behind a podium at Columbia, just allow the left to continue embarrassing itself. The whole world is watching what the left-wing ideology leads to. Bigoted, petulant, entitled brats who hate America and demand vegan food drops. It also leads to feckless leaders like Joe Biden admitting open terrorism supporters into America for 100,000 uncommitted votes in Michigan. Let red states deal decisively with lawless behavior. Let the left wallow in rife. And I 100% agree. I think that the Democrats are shooting themselves in the foot when it comes down to this type of stuff. Because as they're doing their BS campaign against Trump and stuff like that, and they're illegally attacking him and doing, all that interference type BS, their supporters, their allies, the people that want them, that vote for them, are actively going out and committing these acts of crimes and doing this anti-Semitism and stuff like that. And then it will be up to the people to decide, we don't like that here. Move on. Go away. Why are you doing this? The more evil and terrible acts that people are doing is that it's hurting the Democrats. It's not working for them. So, yeah, just let the Democrats hurt themselves. Let the party destroy themselves, and then let's vote for Trump here. Because here's the long game, right? Sure, we might be able to get, Donald Trump and stuff like that this year, right? That does not mean we'll be getting Donald Trump after the 4 years are done, or because of whoever else. Because that means we have to vote for a certain group of people that signed the bill that violated our First Amendment and your freedom of speech. That's the thing. You cannot be having this, bro. Like, this is ridiculous. Again, it hurts the Republicans, I would not say, in the long run. Because I think people are going to vote for Trump regardless because of how bad the Democrats are doing. But despite all that, we're having this here, right? We're just having this issue to where we have to call to be attacking the freedom of speech. This is supposed to be the Democratic type of thing, not the Republicans. Although the Republicans have been pretty notorious of going after speech before. Well, of course, Nina Infinity is talking about this too. That's wild. I did hear from some Rabbi Kirill Rita Candace, aka Candace Owens, interviewed that the definition of anti-Semitism is always mutating and evolving. So who knows what may be considered anti-Semitism tomorrow that isn't today. And what we have here is that using the symbols, images associated with classic anti-Semitism, e.g. claims of Jews killing Jesus or blood libel to characterize Israel or Israelis. And then they answered all the people and said, his blood is on us and our children. For ye, brethren, became followers of the churches of God, which in Judea are in Christ Jesus. For ye has also suffered like things of your own countrymen, even as they have of the Jews, who both killed the Lord Jesus and their own prophets, and have persecuted us. And they please not God, and are contrary to all men. So, yeah. That's the anti-Semitism here. It's insane to me. Uh, so they're really just trying to like hurt the Bible in this case. I don't see where it's going to go good. And of course, we have from Glenn Greenwald here saying a major reason for fixating on the protests of unarmed students is to distract them from the horrors and atrocities of the Biden-funded Israeli war in Gaza, but also don't let it distract from the House's enactment yesterday of one of the gravest free speech attacks in years. This is insane to me. And again, we have more from this. As well, contrary to the examples of anti-Semitism in public life, the media, schools, the workplace, and the religious sphere could, taking into account the overall context, include but are not limited to calling for, aiding, or justifying the killing of the killing or harming of Jews in the name of a radical ideology or an extremist view of religion. Making mendacious, dehumanizing, or stereotypical allegations about Jews, such as, or the power of Jews as a collective, such as, especially and not exclusively, the myth about a world Jewish conspiracy or of Jews controlling the media, comedy, and government, or other societal institutions, accusing Jews as a people of being responsible for real or image wrongdoing committed by a single Jewish person or a group, or even for acts committed by non-Jews. Now, I can see where this one's heading for, but this is still all bad. But here's talk about the two big things here too. When we're talking about like making mendacious, dehumanizing, or demonizing or stereotypical allegations about Jews, such as the power of Jews as a collective, these are all jokes half the time, right? You can joke about Jews doing this or that, and you can get in trouble for this. By the way, if you do a joke or saying something that's stereotypical to Jewish people, or owning or controlling the media or whatever. Well, what if it's just based off of fact? I mean, a lot of the Jewish people do own a lot of this stuff. What if it's just completely based off fact? Are you gonna start banning and arresting people for saying something that is factual? That's insanity. Like, you can't, like, that's stupid. And then accusing Jews as a people of being responsible for real or imagined wrongdoing committed by a single Jewish person or a group. What does this even mean? So that means a Jewish person can go and commit a crime, right? And then they're absolved from that because you're saying, this person did this, they happen to be a Jew, but you get arrested for saying that they did this? That's insanity, guys. That makes no actual bloody sense. It makes no damn sense. Because we're saying here that Jews commit such an act, like rape or child endangerment or whatever, and then if you're saying that they did this, then that's a problem. You get arrested for saying that. That's insane to me. This is just showing on how bad our government system is and how bad the Democrats and the GOP are. Like, that's just the reality of everything. That's how bad we're going here. Now, we're gonna avoid stuff like this, right? We're gonna go into the next thing here, right? We're gonna go on to the next thing. So, what we have here is something that's been happening in Louisiana because the blacks are not doing great. The blacks are destroying their city, or rather the Democrats are destroying their city, and it's not going good. So we have this here from the New York Post saying wealthy white Louisiana residents win right to split from Baton Rouge and form their own city. It says a group of wealthy white Baton Rouge residents have won a decades-long battle to split from the majority black city to form their own suburb following a state Supreme Court ruling. After reversing a lower court's decision on Friday, the Supreme Court ruled 4-3 in favor of the incorporation of St. George, which will form in southeast Baton Rouge. This is the culmination of citizens exercising their constitutional rights, who we voted and we won, Andrew Murrow, and one of the leaders of the St. George campaign, and said in a statement following the victory. Now we begin the process of delivering on our promises of a better city, he added. We welcome both our friends and foes to the table to create St. George. Much like the case with Central, the last incorporated city to be born in East Baton Rouge Parish, the St. George initiative began with hopes of residents starting a new school district before ultimately deciding to create their own city. Although the St. George supporters failed to garner enough votes in 2015, 4 years later, the initiative won the election before it was stalled by a lengthy court battle, the New York Times reported. Sharon Weston Broome, the mayor-president leading the combined Baton Rouge and Eastern Baton Rouge parish governments, had sued the St. George organizers, arguing that the split would siphon more than $48 million in annual tax revenue from the government. The opposition also argued that St. George would not have the proper budget to operate on its own. Well, I think they'll find that out when the actual thing comes through and they start their own city. So we'll find out if that's true or not. 48 million could do quite well for for a city, especially considering that if you're adding the 48 million on top of whatever X amount that you would be making from the city that they combined. So if you say 48 million or something like that, that'd be close to around 83 something million dollars. So I mean, it's half of that taken is almost nothing in the grand scheme of things, right? Justice William J. Crane, the author of the majority opinion, disagreed with the city's assessment and claimed that a thriving St. George could even become an asset to the declining Baton Rouge. Despite her long-standing position, Broome conceded the battle on Friday following the Supreme Court's ruling. The NAACP, however, maintained its fears that the formation of St. George would negatively impact Baton Rouge's majority black community. The St. Rouge plan poses significant risk to our education system, threatens the continuity of critical programs, and challenges community representation. The local chapter of the NAACP said in a statement Monday, the creation of a new municipality introduces a considerable uncertainty around funding allocation for our schools, jeopardizing the cornerstone of our community's future, education. During a news conference Monday at the St. George Fire Department headquarters, Murrow promised the residents that the new city's officials will work to finally set up a new school district as he acknowledged the challenges to come. Now, here's the thing about, this education and what have you. One of the main reasons why these people are leaving Baton Rouge and trying to create their own city is because, well, the education system is terrible. They don't like it. They want to move away from this and form their own city to have better education. And I'm going to be perfectly honest here, guys, on the reality of everything, right? Say the white people in this aspect leave and create their own city, and that city starts prospering. And then you have the black city that is left completely to their own devices. They have their own government and everything. They're literally their own actual government here, and they fail. That either shows that democratic policy is terrible, and this really depends of if the white people are moving and they're creating their Republican government, and the Democrats that are leaving the blacks are creating their Democratic government, it will just show which government is proceeding better. I think this is a good test because this will show that, okay, so maybe the Republicans performing or doing this is better, and then Democrats, everything, all their policies are exceptionally worse. Because you have one that has $48 million that's coming to them, and the other has $48 million coming to them, and you have a great comparison on who is going to be able to use that $48 million correctly. Now, I'm not saying that Republicans are great, because I just got done saying how the Republicans have voted for a bill that is really anti-free speech. It violates the First Amendment. And that's a huge problem. We don't want that. However, in this instance, we get to see on who is doing more better here, and this is going to put a stain on the black community. And hopefully, it becomes a wake-up call to the black community. Because this will show that, okay, maybe we need to try different policies. Maybe we need to move away from this ideology, move away from this type of stuff. Mostly just because of the fact this is not working. Now, I'm not saying this is going to happen. This is just a test to see what's going on. Because they're setting up something new, so we don't know. Number one, we created a city. We have not created a school district, Murrow said. They are two distinct separate animals. They have separate budgets, separate leadership structures. But I would be dishonest if I didn't tell you what's next on the agenda would be the creation of St. George School District, which is long overdue in a parish that is near dead, last in the state, that is near dead, last in this country, and education, he added. Before the new government can get started, however, Governor Jeff Landry must appoint the city's first mayor and city council members. Residents will vote for their new leaders in the next election cycle, according to the city's website. So, yeah, the people get to choose. So, again, we're going to go and look at Jeff Landry here because, obviously, there's a good check. So Jeff Laundrie is a Republican. So it's pretty much just a Republican separating themselves from the Democratic rule and having all these people put into power, right? So that's the case. Now we're gonna go look at some videos here, right? Because some of the videos are gonna explain a little more further into detail what's going on, and without further into detail, but it explains on kind of what the people's part and why the lady here is some of the black leaders are angry that this is happening. So first off, we'll do this one here. This is 5 minutes. We're not going to do the full 5 minutes. We're probably going to do 2-3 minutes here, a little bit, just to kind of show what's going on. But I'm not going to do the full 5 minutes because, again, I want to get to other stuff. So here we are. This says here, LA Supreme Court hands down ruling on St. George becoming its own city.
Is the final verdict. The Louisiana Supreme Court today giving the green light for St. George to become its own city with its own services and its own schools. Many in Baton Rouge were opposed to the plan, fighting for years to block it. We have team coverage here at 6. Our Dion Guillory with reaction from both sides, and Georgia Peck breaks down the High Court's decision, which was far from unanimous. We start tonight with Dion and that reaction that has been pouring in all afternoon. Dion, good evening.
Well, good evening to you, Elizabeth. The state Supreme Court's decision has been the talk of the town, with people chiming in on social media. Take a look at the map for yourself. It includes Shenandoah, Old Jefferson, Westminster, and South Baton Rouge. Since that map was created, there were several properties annexed into the city of Baton Rouge. Those in favor of the new city say they won, while the mayor of Baton Rouge says she's disappointed by the ruling. But despite that, the two sides are seeing some common ground.
Congratulations. You live in a city that you get to create from the ground up.
That message tonight to the people who live in St. George. Friday, the Louisiana Supreme Court ruled the area could move forward with incorporation, reversing a lower court's decision.
Citizens voted. We won a lawful election that was not challenged, and now over 4 years later, we're finally done, and we win.
St. George.
Yeah, and what I get here is that the people wanted to secede. They got what they wanted. It was the will of the people, and now they're putting this into motion. I see nothing wrong with this. If I think that majority of the state or what have you wants to secede from itself, or a certain state or a certain city or what have you, they should be allowed to do that if it's the will of the people. I don't see any problem with this, because sometimes people want it better, and then we've seen this stuff like this happen. Of course, some of the new viewers probably don't even know I did this. But the fact of the matter is that some of these people, we see it in California, and then we see it in also Oregon, they want to secede or separate themselves from like LA, San Francisco, Portland, and stuff like that because of the fact that they don't like the direction they're going. The state is going, and they want the government their own stuff. I think it would be I think it's pretty much all of Oregon except for Portland and then one other city, to where they want to secede from them. That's a huge part. At that point, if you have so much of Oregon just wanting to secede, especially if it's by county, just let them do it. Let Portland and the other cities dwell on themselves and let them run themselves into ruin. Because what's happening here is that we have cities taking over certain parts of the entire state, actually, not certain part of the entire state. California is ruled by San Francisco and LA. That's where it's ruled from, mostly. And a lot of these things are Democratic, right? They're all very strong Democratic strongholds. And the rest of the state has to suffer from these two major cities, maybe even three if we want to say Santa Monica, but San Jose and stuff like that, that they have to suffer with these at least 2 or 3 cities because of the fact that, they have no choice because it's by population density rather than by actual county. And that's an issue. That's a huge issue. And I think this is a perfectly good example of, saying, well, we're willing to secede. This is all good.
Bush spokesperson Andrew Morrell says this is a culmination of 13 years, more than $1 million, and thousands of volunteers. He says there is a St. George transition district that will help move services from Baton Rouge.
We're not dumping East Baton Rouge Parish. We're not leaving and breaking away from this parish. We're making this parish better.
As the mayor president,
Baton Rouge Mayor Sharon Weston Broome says she is disappointed in the ruling, but says her administration has been preparing if this were to happen.
the percentages, the impact that it would have on the budget, what potential cuts would have to be made.
But she stopped short of crunching numbers at this point because she says the plaintiffs could ask for a rehearing. Despite being on opposite sides, Morrell and the mayor agree it's time to work together.
We are stronger when we're united around shared goals. And at the end of the day, I believe that all of the citizens in this city and parish really have shared goals.
This is not the end. This is truly the beginning.
So what I say here is that I don't think that there are shared goals, because what's happening here is that you have at least one half of the city wanting you as mayor, and then the other half of the city not wanting you as mayor or wanting to secede. And if that's the case, then not all of these are shared goals here. You have two people or two groups completely against each other. It's like saying, like, putting Texas, and then saying, like, all of Austin represents Texas, when that's not the case. There's obviously a clear divide here, and a lot of Californians as well. There is also a sheer divide against of what is going on, and we're still controlled by that. So it's not really a shared goal here. So that being said, it's dumb to think that way. So you have one half of the city not thinking it. So it's best to separate that one half and maybe make their own city and see how that prospers. I mean, if they fail, they fail, right? I mean, that's just the way it is. So we have this here as well. And it says, City of St. George officials talk about next steps after Louisiana court ruling. I don't think we're going to go over this one per se. I may do a separate video on this one in particular, just because, maybe. But I don't really want to go over this too much. So we'll skip this one. However, we're going to talk about this one in particular here, where Baton Rouge Mayor President talks about Louisiana Supreme Court okaying St. Rouge Corporation. And because we only got snippets and parts of what she was talking about here.
Always be my goal is to advocate for a united Baton Rouge. I am committed to serving the residents of St. George, just as I serve those of Baker, Central, and Zachary. And in the days ahead, I will proceed to have conversations to determine the best course of action in compliance with the court's final decision. But I believe.
So again, this is something that, we question, right? Again, I don't think you're doing a very good job, because if you were doing a good job, if you were doing a decent job, people wouldn't want to be seceding from you. And that's just reality. I don't think Louisiana or a lot of these states are doing well educational-wise. I think across the board we're doing actually terrible educational-wise, whether it's in a Republican state or Democratic state. Because I think that the way it is that we're not teaching our kids what's important here. We have to, it's like, I think a perfect system is where it should be, where high school becomes college, and then middle school and then elementary school become high school. Except it's for longer periods, right? Because the way it should be is that kids should have to learn how to read, they should learn how to write, they should learn math and stuff like that, and maybe even we want to say as algebra as well, if we want to even use that. And these are some of the here in history, which should be happening through elementary through and middle school and stuff like that. That's where we should technically be teaching our kids stuff, and then moving on forward to something else. Like, where high school becomes to where you're actually getting into your professions, where you want to go learn. Like, you start learning accounting, you start learning taxes, you start learning, actual trades and stuff like that. This is to where these things can be actually beneficial, because as of what I've seen from high school and some of the stuff they're doing in high school are really just pointless. Like, they're all like things to just get you into higher degrees of like college or whatever, which is stupid, because when you leave high school, you become an adult, right? You're practically 18 and you're thrust into the world without knowing anything at all, right? That doesn't help people. What it should be is that college should be something about to where you want to endeavor or maybe go further into something. Maybe we don't have to abolish college altogether. Maybe we don't have to do that. But I think that it should be switched around. We need actual life skills. We do not need this pointless education of like having to have this one step to go further into college. Because again, college doesn't, even if you do learn this stuff, college still takes you through these stupid courses to where you don't have to take in order to get somewhere else, right? That's what college does. It makes you take very dumb courses to pass a certain thing. It's dumb. It doesn't do anything. And that knowledge that you learned from like high school is out of the question. Because it's just asked like, say you want to learn calculus in high school. Well, that's great. But what does the calculus do to your, your future job or whatever? It's just adding on like extra points to make sure maybe you can get into a better college. Maybe you can get into this or that, but it doesn't actually benefit you in any type of way. Whereas you learn all this other life skills in high school, I think it'll be a way more benefit. And if you want to do college, if you want to get into college and maybe further or get into higher degrees or whatever, sure. But as we've seen, colleges or businesses are starting to lessen the amount of degrees of what people would want nowadays, because a lot of the people that have these degrees are usually idiots. They don't do anything, so they're looking for people that have more experience and stuff like that. A degree, in my opinion, is never going to actually be an experienced person, because they have the knowledge of the degree, but with experience. I mean, come on here. This is stupid. So we're seeing that across the board, and I think that we need to redo our entire school system. It is terrible. And some people would say it's indoctrination camps. I would be pressed to agree as well. So these are things that we have to start talking about.
St. George.
That's right. The state Supreme Court ruled in favor of St. George by 4-3 last week. NBC Local 33's Sudan Britton has more details on how he's fighting back. Sudan?
Renee Jacob, Metro Council Mayor Pro Tem Lamont Cole is calling for a new hearing after the Louisiana Supreme Court ruled in favor for the incorporation of St. George. Cole's attorney says several details were missing from the case: the correct layout for the St. George map and paying back East Baton Rouge Parish for past services.
The leader of Baton Rouge Metro Council, Mayor Pro Tem Lamont Cole, is now asking the Louisiana Supreme Court for a new hearing. They plan to discuss missing pieces in the ruling made on Friday, which allowed part of Baton Rouge to become the city of St. George. Attorney Mary Pearson is representing Cole, who is the last one fighting the ruling since Mayor President Sharon Weston Broome was removed from the lawsuit.
Neglected to file a correct map of the St. George area, which is required. You can't have a city without a complete definition of the map. And the court is required to set the date of the incorporation, and they haven't done that.
His attorney also says some question the intentions and progression of the incorporating city.
And they relied on saying that Councilman Cole, who is specifically authorized by statute to file this lawsuit, and then they tried to, limit his authorities.
Meanwhile, the chairman and organizers for St. George say this is a long time coming.
The city of St. George will be a city that you are proud of.
While some are celebrating this milestone,
we're going to build a best-in-class, pace-setter community, a public-private partnership that you will be proud of.
Others have questions about the money East Baton Rouge Parish has lost.
Yeah, so in a sense, is that a lot of these people are panicked and scared that they're separating and seceding from, Baton Rouge, and it's just probably going to show what's going to be a big issue. I think black people deserve a great education. I think everybody across all the spectrum deserve an actual good education, and I don't think they're getting it in Baton Rouge, and I don't think they're getting it at all in a lot of these Democratic cities. Now, I'm not going to say that the Republican cities are perfect. I don't think they are. I think they could be some use for an improvement. I think a lot of our cities can use a modernized update of what's going on in our cities. Like our New York subway system should be modernized a bit more. It should be fixed up. I don't see where a lot of these subways are doing a good job in that regard. So I think a lot of our cities deserve some type of modernization. I think we should be creating new cities that are more modernized and what have you. And it just feels like everything is just decaying because we had beautiful cities. We had things that were safe, and we don't anymore. And these people are panicking. They're panicking because of the things that is going on in these actual cities here.
They want to get all that money back, that tax money back that we've collected since 2019. They have failed to do that. They've also failed to say that they're going to pay us back.
The attorney for St. George, Andrew Merle, says all the facts are on the table.
Well, first of all, our taxes are lower. Our property tax revenue plus that sales tax revenue is what generates the budget and provides the services for the city of St. George. That number is estimated around $130 million.
But Pearson says she will continue this fight.
They think this case is over. It's not over until Friday week when we ask for a rehearing and specify the mistakes that the Supreme Court made.
I would always want to ask these people here, if it's such if the Democrats have such a problem with the Republicans or whatever, right? Then why don't they just allow this to happen and show to yourselves that you can host and become a better city than the Republican city? This is a perfect time to show your mettle and saying the Democrats are the best ones for the job. And this would resonate throughout the rest of the country, saying that, okay, our policies are working, we're doing better than this Republican city. But they're not. They're actively trying to prevent this from happening. Maybe because they're afraid that they're going to get exposed. And as I said before, this is not me trying to defend Republicans, because I don't think Republicans are really great either. But when it comes down to policies, in terms of what they're doing, what Republicans do, I just think the Republican policies are better. That does not mean that everything that Republicans do are good, because we've seen the rhinos really going after that type of stuff. Again, they're not great. So, again, this is just a perfectly good example of, maybe let the Republicans do what they want, let them secede, and prove on who's a better state, who's a better city. Perfectly good match. And I can't wait to see this. I want to see the results of this because it's a perfectly good study. Now, we have this here from the Biden administration. Yes. Great. Thank you, Opera GX. Now, okay, so this is what we're having with the Biden administration, all right? So the Biden administration is thinking of giving us refugees from Gaza. And I'm going to say the title here. The Biden administration considering giving refugees from Gaza a permanent safe haven in the U.S. with access to housing and a pathway to citizenship. Now, this is a problem. And I'm going to explain to why this is a problem. Because after the UCLA riots, because they're not protests, they were riots, let's be perfectly clear here, I don't see on how this is promising. Because, again, I'm going to go to the son of Hamas, and I'll be doing a stream about him as well near in the future, because and we're going to take this actual article here, and we're going to show exactly what's wrong. Now, I will be doing this either Tuesday or Thursday, so stay tuned for that. But I'll be doing this on one of those days, and we're going to be comparing this article and the rest of this stuff to the son of Hamas, because we're going to show you on how bad and how stupid this is, and allowing the administration to do this stuff. The people of Gaza are not these kind and great innocent folks. They all hate America. They hate Jews. And then if you're going to say we're going to be giving refugees from the Gaza permanent safe haven, and they're the ones that are attacking the Jews, what is going to happen to the Jews that are here? You're automatically creating a hostile environment by allowing these people here. Now, do we want to say that all Gaza people are like this? No, but the son of Hamas says otherwise. He says a majority of the people that are in Gaza agree with this. And the only reason why they haven't been killing each other is because of the fact that they all agree on one theme, that they hate the Jews. So, if that is the case, and you're not going to start talking to the son of Hamas about this type of stuff, which I'm pretty sure he'd be very happy and inclined to do so, to talk about this, then wouldn't this be a huge problem for our country? A huge problem. It's insane to me, guys. It really is insane to me. The Biden administration is considering allowing some Palestinians to come live in the United States as refugees. CBS News reported Tuesday that senior officials across several federal agencies have discussed how to resettle Palestinians from Gaza, potentially using the United States Refugee Admissions Program. The individuals chosen would have to immediate family members who are American citizens or permanent residents. They would have to pass a series of eligibility, medical, and security screenings, but would then be able to obtain resettlement benefits, including house assistance and pathways to American citizenship. If the administration goes ahead with this plan, it would make a major change in the U.S. policy. When the White House Department of Homeland Security and State Department did not immediately respond to CBS request for comment, since its inception in 1980, the United States Refugee Admissions Program hasn't resettled large numbers of Palestinians. Well, for obviously and good reasons. In the last 10 years, while the U.S. has allowed 400,000 refugees to come in, fewer than 600 were Palestinian. Last year, just 56 Palestinians were brought in through this program, with more than 60,000 refugees being offered resettlement benefits, State Department numbers show. The move would get Palestinian residents with connections to the United States out of harm's way as Israel continues to bombard Gaza to root out Hamas after the terror group killed more than 1,200 took hundreds of hostages on October 7th. This is also not talking about the 14 U.S. citizens that were just kidnapped, by the way, and taken into Gaza. So, again, I don't know what we're talking about here. So, we're taking people that have attacked a certain group of other people because they don't like them into our own country that has these same people in our country. How does this make any bloody sense at all? By the way, why would you do this? Why would you endanger your own American citizens like this? This makes no sense. What are you doing, Biden? Stop this. You're actively going to create a hostile environment by inviting these people here. And again, I will be doing a stream, probably most likely on Tuesday, about this whole situation about with the son of Hamas. Because you people need to start understanding on how dangerous this is. Like, again, they do not like Jews. And we're going to go over here too on the stream on where Biden is going to be putting these people. The Israel-Hamas war has dramatically fractured the Democratic Party, and the large-scale student protests have prompted concerns about whether Biden will lose support among young voters unless he does more to help the Palestinians' plight. Yeah, and the only way, I don't even want to use this at all either, about the situation either, because here's the thing. What I'm getting back here is this. It is good for the Republicans when they take these Hamas or Gaza refugees into our country and they start committing acts of violence against Jews and stuff like that. And it hurts the Democrats. That's the dark and messed up version of this, of what I'm talking about here. But what I don't want is that to happen, because I don't want people to get hurt or killed. I do not want more protests. So, I would not want Biden to do this and cause problems for the American people, so therefore can we just not do this at all? Even though it's a win for the Republicans and a win for Trump, I'm not so downright evil and bad to be like, okay, let's just put these people in here, cause a mayhem, cause destruction, so Trump can get elected. No, I do not want to do this, okay? I do not want people to die. So let's not do this, Biden. Let's not do stupidity here and just put them somewhere else. Because this is insane. Republicans, however, will likely use a move to criticize Biden, who they already hit on immigration and for having an open borders policy. The Biden administration would also need to get Egypt's cooperation for the plan to work. Egypt so far hasn't allowed large numbers of Palestinians to cross over its border, which with good bloody reason. So, yeah, that's what's going on here. And we're not done. We're not done. We have this here from U.S. Central Command. Pier building begins. The construction of the floating J-Loss Pier in the Mediterranean is underway. The pier will support USAID and humanitarian partners to receive and deliver humanitarian aid to the people of Gaza and support the movement of the humanitarian aid. So, this is what's ongoing here. All that stuff. Yeah, this is crazy. It's just insane. So they're trying to do everything to support Gaza and stuff like that. If the U.S. is, and then we have here are the top American cities Joe Biden is sending hundreds of thousands of parole migrants. So is your hometown on the list? So we're gonna find out who the Democrats are sending these illegal migrants and stuff like that to which town you're going to go to. So hopefully I can find this quickly, so we can see who's going to go where. So the big cities the top cities where paroled migrants are being flown to are New York, Atlanta, Orlando, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, Tampa, Houston, Dallas, Los Angeles, and San Francisco. So these are the top 10 cities where paroled migrants are being flown, etc. Right? So New York will get worse. San Francisco and LA will get worse. Dallas, Houston is... I don't think there's going to be too much to happen there. These people will probably be immediately kicked out or something around those aids. We have Atlanta here is another one, Florida, stuff like that. But these are the states or the cities that are going to be going here. So if you guys are in San Francisco, LA, or New York, which I think these are going to be the biggest places we're going to be heading to, expect a lot of Hamas people coming into your city. You're calling it your state. Or your state/city, right? That's what's going to be happening here. And if that's the case, Miami is I think maybe 91,000. Fort Lauderdale is 60,000. New York is 14,000. Houston is 7,000. Orlando is 6,000. LA is 3,000. And San Francisco is 2,000. So maybe not so much, maybe not San Francisco, maybe not LA and San Francisco, but again, New York, it will definitely be the big one, and then Miami and Fort Lauderdale are now the next biggest things here where they're being flown. So, yeah, prepare for that. And then, of course, we have this here, finally. California's Gen Z millennials sour on benefits of migrants. It says here that a new statewide survey published by the Public Policy Institute of California conducted between February and 6th and 13th found that younger generations have larger disapproval towards benefits provided to immigrants when compared with a similar PPIC survey published in June 2023. The question poses, please indicate which statement comes closest to your own view, even if neither is exactly right. Immigrants today are a benefit to California because of their hard work and job skills, or immigrants today are a burden to California because they use public services. Approximately 67% of those aged 18 to 34 called it a benefit to California, down from 80% in June. While 19% of that age group said in June that immigrants are a burden to the state due to using public services, that our number rose to 32% in the latest survey. And those aged 34 to 54 and 55 plus who say immigrants are a benefit are also slightly fell between June and February from 70% to 65% among ages 35 to 54, and from 52% to 51% among those 55 years and older. So it's decreasing. And if you get these pro-Hamas people here, those migrants into these areas, into California, it's going to drop even further. And I want to see the survey now after the UCLA protests or riots of what's going to happen here, because this happened on February. This was published on February 23, 2024, right? So this is before the UCLA riots happened. So I want to see the survey after the riots that this happened, and I would want to see after what happens here when they put in more of this Gaza people. This was the start of the year, practically the start of the year, and that's been going down. What's going to happen? What's the percentage now? It's what is it? It's May, and the UCLA riots happened, and that's not going to do good. And then we have this here, where you're going to put more Gaza people here. That's going to cause the same thing. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. That doesn't sound good. I just limit the Black conservative perspective there, Greg. But again, this is insanity. I can't see where this is going to go good, guys. I can't see where this is going to go good. And there's going to be hell to pay. I hope Biden does not do this, because this is going to be a huge problem. Well, guys, that's it for everything here. We took exactly 1 hour to do this. But this is all the information you guys are going to get to see here. And I have listed out all the stuff that you need. I may or may not do a cut of what the video of all the stuff that I've been going through, mostly because a lot of the stuff that I went through and some of the fluff is just longer. Like the videos that I'll be making will be longer in general, just because it's all off the stream. So we'll see about that. Normally those videos don't do too super well anyways, so I may not want to do it in the first place. So we'll see about that. But guys, that's everything that's been going on here in this country. It is a complete chaos and disaster. I'll see you guys next week on what's going on here. And then on Tuesday, we may have it, or I'll probably do the Hamas stream and keeping this stuff up and forward, because we all need to see what's going on. So guys, thanks for viewing. Have a wonderful day. Like, subscribe, share. And as always, take care, my friends. And